Okay, hi. Good to see everyone. Jerrel here. I'm here to bring you some of that late night energy. It's been a long work week. I've had a very, very long week. It's been a long work day. It's sometime past midnight. So I've had a long work day. I just wanted to share this bass with you. I just find it hilarious that YouTube keeps recommending that short that I made a while ago where I was drilling a hole into this bass, and I usually get a bunch of people saying I've ruined a beautiful instrument, a perfectly fine bass. This thing cost $65 and it's the crappiest, absolute most garbage instrument that was in my collection. It was just awful, just terrible. But I had purchased this bass from Carrera. They make perfectly fine electric P basses, but their acoustic P basses are just tragic. They're just, everything about it is just awful. But if you are a cowboy luthier and you can handle some setup on your own that involves a significant amount of work on the nut and the saddle, you can make this playable. But it's unpleasant, it's gross, and when I first got it, the experience for the player is not very good because the player can't hear that much of the sound. It's actually a shorter scale acoustic bass, which means that you're getting less tension on the strings, so the sound is going to be much softer, and you'll have much less projection than you would on higher quality acoustic P basses. So that is why I drilled a sound port here. I had lost one of my bits, so I couldn't actually use my hole cutter set that I normally use for doing modifications like this, so I actually had to drill a hole into it with the drill and then just file it out. And because I'm not trying to be fancy or anything, so I don't really care that it's not a perfect circle. It's perfectly fine for me because I play it and it allows me to hear it. And when you are jamming with other musicians, if you are in a pub session, if you are around a campfire and at a music festival, it's vital for you as a P-bass player, especially if you're quite inexperienced as a bass performer. I've never performed in any capacity in a live situation with a bass. I am when it comes to playing bass, I only do jams, music jams, and studio performances. So it's a totally different environment to play in. And when you are playing with other musicians and you're quite a weak bassist, then you absolutely need to be able to hear what you're doing. And that is why I added that sound port. And it makes a significant difference. I can barely hear the sound coming out of this without that sound port. If you cover that, to you it doesn't make that much of a difference. To me, I can barely hear anything. But when that's there, I get significantly more sound of it as a player. So, and in general, there's a lot of physics explanations. Luthiers will explain that it does increase the airflow, so it helps projection in audiences that are nearby. It aids in that projection. But say like if you were in like a small room, you know, an audience that's a bit farther away wouldn't hear a difference. But it's really for the player, and there have been anecdotal reports that the front row of the audience, if they're very close to you, would hear more projection from the instrument. But again, it's negligible for the audience. It's really for the players. So the modifications that I had to make to the headstock are thusly. It was basically, where in the heck can I fit these things? So I added the tuners here, and I couldn't, unfortunately, I couldn't fit this guy here because there was no space, so I had to stick him up there. It's a very odd spot for him. And I tried originally, this was a very experimental instrument, it took about a year or so to get right. Eventually I had to get light guitar string set because this is a longer scale than a typical acoustic guitar, a 6-string acoustic guitar. And so at first I put heavy tension strings on there, and they were pulling the neck too far forward, and then one of them snapped, and I realized it'd be much better to put light gauge acoustic guitar strings on there. And I'm using brass, light gauge brass guitar strings. Wait, hold on, let me think about that. Oh, no, I think these are medium gauge. Oh no, sorry, let me correct it. I think these are pretty decent quality heavy gauge on the bass strings, because I wanted to get the most amount of tension on there to get the most projection, because again, this is a shorter scale length for an acoustic P bass. So you can play that with your thumbs. Okay, yeah, you can play it with your thumbs if you want. I mean, you can play with your finger. But you generally get a much cleaner sound because they are octave paired. So you have your low E, and then an octave up from that, and it gives it this nice growl. So I do need, the instrument has settled for a while now. It is not damaging the top. Or I had to use this tailpiece, which is, you get that for a dobro. I originally had a trapeze, but it wasn't quite up to task. So I'm using this dobro tailpiece to alleviate the tension. Originally there was too much torque and it was warping and damaging the top, and so I had to get, there's only 3 strings that are on that bridge, and those are the 3 guitar strings, and then the other strings are coming from that tailpiece there. It has warped the top a little bit, but that's because earlier in this experiment build I had more of the strings on the bridge here, and that was applying too much tension, and that's when I switched to the dobro tailpiece, and it isn't damaging the instrument any further. This is just fine. So this instrument, people were saying, oh, I've ruined a beautiful instrument. It's made out of basswood, which I think is another term for linden, which is generally a very low-cost material for instruments, and it's not one that is widely sought after. Generally because linden, actually my best sounding mandolin is a tanglewood made out of linden, and it's absolutely my best sounding instrument because linden is ideal for that range of frequencies, but in general it's not sought after in the music world because it is viewed as a lower quality material, and it's not pretty. If you were to stain and varnish it, it looks very plain, and so to make it look better, generally, well, always there is a veneer applied to it, and then at that point, even if it's a solid linden piece, they refer to it as laminate, and people sort of kind of give dirty looks to laminates. Anyway, this is made out of a very cheap material. Basswood is generally what it's referred to, but at a distance this thing looks okay, it looks fine. So I take this to music jams, music festivals, and music clubs, and people there that have played a little bit of bass, and even like full-time bassists, they always love playing this thing. They ask me if they could borrow it for a while, just sort of walk around and play it for a bit. This has settled a bit, and I need to create a new saddle for that, as this is now rattling. If you hit it in just the right way, it's rattling a bit, so I need to cut a new bridge, a new saddle, and I just don't have time for that. Work has been very busy for me. So, yeah, it sounds okay through the pickup. I have played it through a pickup there, so yeah, I just need to make a couple more adjustments and it'll be just fine. I can do a demo of my resonator bass as well. I tried doing it outside, but the phone microphone was quite aggressive with the noise reduction, and then the birds were hooting and hollering here in Australia, as we say. They were very loud. So anyway, I hope that was interesting to you. Thank you for watching my video. I'm not a YouTuber, so please don't like and subscribe because I don't want to be a YouTuber. I just want to share interesting and cool things with you. So I've been Jerrel, sharing some of that late night energy with you. Take care of yourselves, and hopefully you come around again soon. We'll see you.